Hello, my name is Mike Johnson. I'm taking you on an inside and outside video tour of this very clean 2015 Chevy Tahoe 4-wheel drive. This is a very clean Tahoe, fire engine red, and it has black alloy rims and brand new rims, brand new tires, brand new tire pressure sensors. We still have the old rims and sensors. They were steel because this was owned by the city of Newport Beach and used for their fire department assistant chief. It's an ex-fire chief vehicle, so it's fire engine red, special color that normally you can't get unless you special order with special criteria, and it's 4-wheel drive. That means you can drive up in the thick snow of the mountains with less chance of getting stuck. You can drive in mud, snow, slippery conditions. With 4-wheel drive, you can climb over rocks because it has low range. It has tow hooks. This is the K1500 Tahoe. Chevrolet's been making 4x4s for many years. The Chevy K5 Blazers were very popular back in their day, and the Tahoe, when they came out in 1995, was pretty awesome. And this is one of the most refined versions of it. Now, there's not really any significant dents or scratches on it. There's no holes in the roof. There's no third row seat. This one is special order as a special services Tahoe, which is very similar to the police Tahoe. It has two batteries, an engine battery and an auxiliary equipment battery. So if you wanted to put a thumping stereo in here, you could, and it would have its own battery, which is already in the vehicle to drive your electronics package. So this is a special services Tahoe, fire engine red. 2015 is the newer body style. 2014 was the old body style. So it looks very modern, and it looks, if you have a hey look at me complex, this fire engine red will get people's attention. A lot of people like red vehicles. It didn't have very much equipment. It just had a couple of lights in the back, and they took maybe a Starsky and Hutch light. They took that stuff off, but it's the actual quality of the vehicle is very high. Condition is almost spotless. So we put brand new wheels and tires on it instead of the fire department wheels. We got brand new black with machined finish, sporty wheels with a lot of rubber. So if you do go off-road, you have good traction going over sand or bumps or whatever you want to drive in off-road conditions. So these are 17-inch rims. You can get 18s, 19s, 20s, 22s. If you want 22-inch rims, you don't want the 4-wheel drive. If you want 4-wheel drive, you probably want the 17-inch rims, but that's what we put on. It had 17-inch before, so this is the stock size. And these are nice Goodyear Wrangler ATS tires. So if you do want to go occasionally off-road or often off-road, they're perfectly good, well-known tires. The Border Patrol and all kinds of agencies use those tires to drive off-road all the time. They're very productive tires. So this one is a 5-seat Tahoe, cloth interior, carpet, and the carpet in the passenger seat looks like nobody ever had their dirty feet in here before. So it's got the center console. The seats are in perfect condition. There's like zero wear or tear inside this vehicle. I can't find any wear and tear to point out anywhere. This has the rear air conditioning. It has the USB ports. It has the cigarette lighter ports. Looks like a memory card reader. And then the small screen. Now, while we're talking about the factory stereo, we've put in some Apple CarPlay stereo systems with a gigantic screen, and if you want that, it's gonna be at least $500 more as an option. We can do that for you, or you just go on crutchfield.com and look at the Boss Apple CarPlay stereo with a 7-inch display, 8-inch display, or 9-inch display, or 10-inch display. Those big floating screens are available in Crutchfield, and you could probably install it yourself. They work with the factory backup camera. This does have a backup camera, it does have a color screen. The factory screen does control vehicle settings. Also, this has the electrochromic auto dimming rear view mirror. It has a conversation mirror, so you can observe the people in the back seat without turning your neck. And this doubles as a sunglasses holder. Visors are telescoping, so very nice setup. There's no holes inside. This is not like a police car that had cages or anything like that. There was no third row seat, and there were no third row seat belts either. But this one has the cloth seats and carpet. Carpet looks like I said, like it just came out of the factory. It looks really clean. In the second row, it also has very clean carpet. I don't think the assistant chief drove around with a bunch of passengers in his vehicle very often, by the looks of how clean it is. Or they wiped off their shoes before they got in. I've seen a lot of prior fire department vehicles, and they're usually not like this. They're not clean like this. This one is really clean. Then again, Newport Beach is a beach city. You can press a button and open the rear glass if you want to quick load something into the inside. There's a large cargo area in the back because there was no third row seat from the factory. If you're looking for a 7-passenger Tahoe, you probably should be looking at a Suburban, because the third row seats aren't that good in the Tahoes anyways. You wouldn't want to be an adult sitting in the third row of a Tahoe. A Suburban, yes. Tahoe, no. Tahoe is a little bit shorter than the Suburban. The Suburban's longer, has more leg room for the back seat and stuff like that. There's a 12-volt power point in the back. There's little pockets and cubbies. You got weather-proof floor mats. Towing package. And the towing package on this one is rated for 10,000 pounds. You have a 7-pin connector and a 10,000 pound tow rating. So tow hitch rated for 10,000 pounds. When I mentioned I only had a few lights, there's little holes in the truck, the deck lid, where some lights were here, and there's some little holes here where some lights were mounted in the back window. Those are removed. They didn't get crazy and put light bars on the roof or anything like that. This was like Newport Beach. There's not that much going on. It's a beach community. Super clean inside. Rear air conditioning controls, so if you're sitting in the back, you can adjust your own temperature. You've got a 110-volt power inverter right there. Cigarette lighter port. Cubbies. Drink holders. And these seats fold flat into the floor. So if we pull the release lever once, folds down. Pull it again, goes up. So large cargo area, so when you want to buy that giant TV at Costco and fit it in your car, you probably will fit in here. You can't do that in a Prius. Let's look under the hood. There's almost zero wear and tear in the front seat. There's a little mark here from getting in and out, but It's very clean. Power windows, power door locks, power mirrors, four-wheel drive mode control, full automatic headlights. You put the headlights in auto and they come on in the dark and they go off in the bright. Automatic headlights, cruise control. There are a lot of keys that came with this vehicle, so there's like 3 or 4 keys and remotes that come with this vehicle that are included. So let's talk about the engine of this Chevy Tahoe. This is a special department here. Chevrolet V8s are 4, 6, 8 engines. That means they'll run on 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, or 8 cylinders, depending on the driving mode. Like idling the engine right now, it's probably only running on 4 cylinders. When you're coming down a hill, it's using only 4 cylinders. It has something called cylinder deactivation technology. And what that means, you save a lot of gas. So without trying very hard, you can easily get 20 miles per gallon driving around town in your Tahoe. Now the older V8s like Ford Expeditions and earlier Tahoes without cylinder deactivation would get like 11 to 13 miles per gallon. So you get almost double the gas mileage with this newer technology V8 engine. And this one has very low engine hours. I'm going to show you in a minute on the hour meter. When you're looking at buying a vehicle, you need to look at 2 things. How many miles are on it, obviously, and how many hours are in the engine. On some engines, you need to connect the scan tool and scan the computer to see how many hours are on the engine. I've seen ex-police vehicles that have 20,000 hours on the motor because the cops are idling the cars in front of your house, taking reports and watching traffic, see how fast it goes. So a government vehicle could easily get 20,000 hours on the engine in some applications. And if you buy a vehicle that has maybe 70,000 miles but it's got 20,000 hours on the engine, you're looking at high repair bills possibly because it's worn out already. That's not the case with this one. This only has about 4,000 hours. So while we're talking about it, without changing the subject, how do you know? On this Tahoe, you go into the screen here and it will show you. I'm actually gonna back up to get the glare off the camera, and I've got my backup camera here. I'm trying not to change the subject, but the glare is a problem for the camera. So backup camera right there, and parking sonar sensors. As you get close to an object, it highlights it on the screen for you. So it's a smart backup camera. Back to this screen over here now. If you turn this little knob, tire pressure, fuel economy, fuel range, how much distance till you run out of gas, trip meter, speed, US English measurements, engine hours. This one has 3,327 hours on the engine. Not even 4,000 hours on the engine. That's very low engine hours for a vehicle with 98,000 miles. So this one wasn't sitting there idling all day long. Probably not at all. Very little idle time on the engine. So a vehicle with 100,000 miles and 3,000 hours on the engine is light use. That's why it looks like brand new in here. So as we go through the display here, this is a nice color display. You can access the vehicle settings in here by changing to settings and control time, language, radio, the lighting modes and things like that. Rear camera mode, return to factory settings, restore vehicle settings, confirm. depersonalized. So you can do that with this screen. If you want to change the stereo and you want to retain the ability to adjust factory settings, you may need a more expensive stereo. But if you don't care about that, you set it up the way you want and you change the stereo to an Apple CarPlay system, it'll stay the same. And the only thing that you're changing settings like how long the parking lights stay off when you hit the unlock button on the key, and do they come on or not, does the horn honk when you hit lock on the door. Those are the kind of settings you can change here. Automatic air conditioning controls, so you hit auto and auto air conditioning controls, that will display on here. If you have a nicer stereo that retains those settings, you can still do all that. Like when you go on Crutchfield.com, you can select the stereo that retains factory controls, and those are run about $1,000 or more typically, but they can easily do it with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So rear air conditioning controls here, front air conditioning controls, dual zone, driver temperature, passenger temperature, rear seat passenger temperature can be adjusted independently, and you can sync it all together so that they all change at the same time. Chevy knows what they're doing. I used to work for Chevrolet a long time ago, and some of their vehicles are really nice, and Tahoe is one of them. The SUVs were always very well done. So this is like brand new. The tires and wheels have only been on there for like less than 5 miles. They still have the little studs on the tire treads. The wheels aren't dirty yet. The paint and body is in basically perfect condition. We did also have to paint the front and rear bumpers because under Newport Beach fire, these were black. And it looked weird with black front and rear bumpers, so we painted those. It also has black door handles and a black rear wing spoiler. We left those black because the black and red contrast with the wheels, I think it looks good. Now, if you want an Overlander rack, which is the big rack that goes on top to put your four-wheel drive equipment on the roof, this does not have the factory roof rack, so you can easily mount an aftermarket rack on top. Let's take a peek at the roof. Because there's no factory roof rack, an Overland roof rack is something that you can do easily. The backup camera is located on the lift gate right here. It's a very nice Chevy Tahoe. So my name is Mike Johnson. If you have questions about the vehicles that I have available, go to my website, check what the prices are at mybestcar.com, see if they're available, and if they are, and you're going to be paying a check for one of the vehicles, your check is paid to the owner of A Buyer's Choice. This is the company name, A Buyer's Choice. Now, my name is Mike Johnson. Thank you for watching my video. Really appreciate it.